Good evening, everyone. A warm welcome to all of you on this Wow Kids Talk Show. My name is Atul, and I'm a part of Wow Kids Preschool chain. And I welcome all the viewers who are watching us live on Facebook today. Friends and dear parents, Wow Kids as a preschool chain is committed to make a difference in the lives of your children. It has been our continuous endeavor to innovate our teaching practices and also enhance our knowledge on various aspects of early childhood education. We are taking this opportunity to connect with various speakers and experts from all over the world and have them share their knowledge and wisdom with us. Today, we have one such lady, Ms Helen Battelley.
Hi.
Now, Helen is all over from UK with us. Miss Helen is the founder of an organization in the name of Music and Movement, a consultant, a trainer, and a researcher. She has also authored a book, Music and Movement in Early Years, which was published by National Day Nurseries Association UK. Music and movement classes began in April 2000, which is almost 20 years from now, and has been successful from the outset, reaching almost 1,500 children per week. That shows the extensive work Helen has been doing with her team in early childhood development. I welcome Helen on this webinar with Wow Kids. Helen, how are you doing today?
Hello, I'm good. I'm very hot. I do apologise for the addition of my fan. It's extreme. We're not
Oh,
used to the heat here in the UK, but it's scorchingly hot right now.
okay. So you grabbed your cup of your glass of
I've got
cold
cold water
water.
fan.
Yes, yes. So 36 is hot for you. Okay.
It is
Wonderful.
very hot. 36 degrees is incredibly hot. Yeah.
Okay, okay. All right. So, Helen, tell us something about yourself and how did you get into this beautiful work of music and movement? What excites you to still going on for last 20 years? You've been teaching this wonderful music and movement to small children. So, tell us something about yourself.
Okay, so well, my name is Helen Battelley, and as you said, I'm a researcher, consultant, and author, and I have been doing that for 20 years, and I'm very passionate about what I do. I now train educators and parents working with under sevens globally on raising the profile of physical activity and how music and movement can impact on learning. But obviously, post COVID, I'm no longer traveling across the world delivering these face to face training. I'm now doing everything virtually. So my lounge has become my studio as I've been working with delegates from Singapore, from Australia, from India, from China, UK. It's been a sort of a huge change this last 4 months, but it's been fabulous. But back to the first question: how did I get into music and movement? Well, it was down to these three people here. If you can see these are my three sons, who are now 23, 21, and 16. And when before I had my children, I was a dance teacher in ballet, tap, modern jazz, and flamenco. And when I first had my first two sons, I took my son to a music group, and I had the middle son with me, who was a baby, and all the children were sitting on a mat tapping a chime bar. Apart from my son, who was running around the hall screaming and roaring, pretending to be a lion. Now, for any parents that have been in that situation, you will know that you feel uncomfortable, you can feel yourself flushing, you just want to escape out of there. So
Right.
I took my sons and went home, and I thought about the program that I'd just witnessed. And I thought about my knowledge that I have as a dance teacher. And I thought, well, there was music represented in that class, but it was sedentary. It was all sitting. It was all based around sitting still. And I knew from my children that they weren't sitters. They didn't have the attention span to sit. They were doers. They had to learn through doing. So I then spent the next 2.5 years writing a program called Music and Movement. And then I started delivering that, and it just grew and grew and grew astronomically. And then about 10 years ago, I decided that the company was fabulous. We were reaching so many children, but I felt like I needed to get some underpinning research in what I was doing. So I started my master's diploma in early childhood physical activity, and I'm now continuing to be a researcher for Birmingham City University in early child physical activity.
Oh,
So
that's
everything
nice.
that I do now is underpinned with academic research, it's underpinned with evidence based practice. So all of the research that I deliver and that I conduct is with reception teachers, with educators, with children. So we can see that this using a movement and music philosophy within education does really impact on children's well-being and all areas of learning in early childhood. Sorry, that was a big
Wonderful.
answer, wasn't it? Sorry.
That's great. So, Helen, what are the courses that you're offering? Because I saw on your website there's extensive, courses that you offer. So, what are the top three things that people in the UK and across the globe are interested to learn from you as an educator to teach small children? Maybe because saw several of them that you are
Yeah,
doing right now on Zoom. So,
that's
which are
correct.
the most? How many of them total?
I'm doing 5 courses. So the first one is instant impacting movement ideas, which is what it says on the tin. It's lots of ideas that are going to get results, immediate results from children. It's going to engage them, get them moving, help connect the brain and body. The second one is boosting learning through movement, where we follow the journey from birth up to the age of 6, and we understand how movement is instrumental in the formation of the brain and also looking at muscle development. The third one is superscribers. We talk about early mark making and writing skills. So we look at how a movement and music philosophy can help. We look at how language acquisition can be boosted if we learn musical interpretation from a very young age. Mathematical movers. That one is, again, what it says on the tin. It's learning about concepts of maths that we can frame using a physical activity methodology. And the last one is movement through well-being. Specifically now during COVID times, there's a lot of children that haven't had access to physical activity play. Lots of children have been isolated and just having time on devices and screens, as we all have.
Right.
So that's a very important one, talks about the importance of getting moving and how we can support that in the current.
Fantastic. I think that's a whole lot of courses that you're offering, and that's what you've been doing it for last 20 years. So I
Yeah.
guess that's the reason why you could actually diverse that portfolio of teaching small children 25 different ways.
Yeah.
Different 25 different courses that you've innovated as per the need of the parent or teacher, I guess. So it is as per the
Absolutely.
age group and need of their what wonderful. So we as a preschool chain, as I was talking to you, we give a very good focus on the physical development of small children. We are also trying to do as much as possible that we can do online, on virtual through Zoom, with our teachers giving brain boosters and trying to do some physical exercises. But I want to know from you to and we can just tell our viewers that what is the importance of dance, music, and movement in early childhood development? So, according to you, because you've been doing this for 20 years, you would have seen several changes that a child goes through. So, what, according to you,
Well,
is the
there are.
importance? Or why is?
I think
Uh,
I've only got. Sorry, Atul. Sorry.
yeah, please carry on. Yes,
I said I think I've only got about sort of 10 or 15 minutes, but I could answer your question in a day. There are so many
I
benefits.
know.
And
Yes, but I feel that in early childhood development, physical development is one of the most important. Then there are social development, economic, this emotional development, and other things are also parallel, but physical development is very, very important for the overall personality growth of the child. So how do you what, in brief, if you can tell that
okay.
how music, movement, and dance will change a child and transform a child into a better human being?
Okay, well, I'll start with music first of all. So, if we look at how music is used across the globe, music is often used as a form of celebration, as a form of inclusivity. If we go to weddings, if we go to festivals, if we go to big dance events, big outside festivals, it's always used as a time of inclusivity. There's a fabulous saying called that states, "Music is the language we all speak." And it is. Everybody can access music regardless of understanding the lyrics or whatever language you speak. It's always accessible. And I think especially for children who do struggle with language acquisition, listening to music and learning to move to music together with others really helps develop what's called pro-social behavior. So that sense of belonging, that sense of nurture, of being part of something bigger. And studies have shown that children who start musical practice, so whether that's playing percussion instruments, shaky eggs, or whatever, using music to move to specific actions, gives children a better advantage than those who haven't been predisposed to that. So if you prime children with musical knowledge and understanding, action songs, rhymes, percussion play, dance, responding to music, they are going to have a better advantage at language acquisition than those children who haven't. So already we can see it's going to help language, it's going to help support pro-social behavior. And we know that if children are feeling secure and nurtured within that environment, that learning environment, we know they're going to learn better. The learning that's going to happen is significantly increased than if they were feeling unhappy within that environment. Now, physical activity, what I need to do now, Atul, is ask you to do something for me, because I want to show how physical activity is so important. So what I'd like you to do for me, Atul, is just to cross your arms. Can you do that for me? Okay, have you got one hand up and one hand down? Fabulous.
Okay, I'm not sure if you can see.
Yeah, I can see. Now give your hands a shake. And now I want you to cross them the opposite way.
Okay.
Okay, so let me tell you what was happening in your brain. The first time that you folded your arms, you had repeated it that way so many times that it was cemented within the architecture of your brain. So you didn't need to have to apply thought. There was no thought that came to it. You just did it automatically without thinking about it. But the second time you did it, we could see you had to really concentrate and think, okay, which hand was up, which hand was down. And it doesn't feel right because it's not cemented within the brain.
Absolutely.
Sorry?
Yes, I said.
Yeah, so physical development is so important because we need children to have that cementing within their brain. That can only happen through repetitive courses of action. Now, if we've repeated those actions enough time, all physical skills will subsequently become automated, which frees up the brain for speaking and listening, which are the two primary cognitive processing tasks that we need. But if we think, let me give you an example. So we've got little Hilda. Hilda is outside, she's playing on the climbing frame and she's climbing up. And then an educator says, Hilda, be very careful because that's too high. Now, because Hilda is not experienced at climbing up that climbing frame, she's using all her cognitive processing skills to manage those physical skills. But if she has to stop and listen, she's either going to let go or not listen and manage that herself, because the brain can only manage one cognitive processing task at a time. So that's why physical skills are so important. If we want children to be the best learners they can be, they need to have an early childhood that is full of a canopy of movement experiences. Okay.
Fantastic. I think that's very, very nicely explained in a very, very, small manner in a very short time. But yes, definitely physical development and physical skills play a very, very important role in the overall development of the child. So can you suggest our parents and teachers some nice themed activities, some of the best ones, which you feel kids really enjoy. Is it possible for you to show us something that what do you do with small children? Maybe some demo, something that you
I
can
will
show
definitely
us.
I would definitely do
Yeah.
that. But the most important thing for children to have during this time is exposure to the natural environment. Children need to be running outside, climbing trees, playing with water, playing with other children, creating their own games. There needs to be that outdoor play. They need to be swinging and climbing and running, climbing in and over. But as well as that, we do need to then teach other physical skills so that they have a canopy movement experience. So one of the things that I'm sure a lot of people have at home, this is just a little scarf that I have
Right.
upstairs. So with our younger children, we could sing little songs where we're going to help to override the Moro reflex, which is an early childhood primitive reflex, which is part of the startle reflex. So we can have a little scarf on our head. So first of all, parents, if you've got younger children, parents and carers would do this first, and then the children could be covered as they become used to it. And we could sing a little song like this. Peekaboo, where are you, hiding in your place? Peekaboo, I see you with your smiling face. So what we're doing there, as well as helping to override the Moro reflex, we're also getting children to listen to rhythm and understand the correct time to pull off the scarf. So understanding timing, rhythm, and musicality. Something else we can do with the scarves, which I'm going to stand up for now.
Right.
I'll just tilt this up, is we can encourage children to throw and catch them. As children become older, they're going to be able to manage balls and other equipment, but balls are very hard for young children to catch. But scarves, they can judge the time it takes to come down. Then between you, you can have a little competition to see how many claps you can do before the scarf comes down. So let me see, how many do we think I'm going to do? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4.
Yes.
This time, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we can have
Wonderful.
a little competition again. That's helping with counting. It's also helping with catching and fine motor skills. We've got 60 combined muscles in the hand, so we're using those.
Yes.
Something else we can use, this is a pillowcase, which I stole off my son's bed. So we could use things like pillowcases. We can make a little obstacle course. So we could start off by standing inside the pillowcase and then jumping. We could then get to the dining table and place a book on our head. We have to try and balance. We could then crawl underneath the chair. And we can create these little obstacle courses that help children experience not just those physical experience, but hearing the language as we say underneath, over, through, behind, around, all helping to understand concepts of maths in early childhood.
Oh, wonderful. I think the very precisely you explained that how to, music, movement, counting, and, well, the child can catch because, yes, catching a ball, a child may not be quick enough, but then, yes, if you throw a small, maybe handkerchief in the air and the child can catch in the time, I think it's a wonderful thing. So, these are the small activities which, parents can also identify and do in their houses right now, because
Yeah.
here we are not allowed to maybe send children outside. It is not safe because of COVID, so children are not going out. So what else do you suggest to young parents that they can do during at the comfort of their home without the children going out? What else are the things that you can suggest to young parents?
So we've got the obstacle course, we've got things with a scarf. This is another great activity. So this is just a whisk. I don't know whether anybody has one of these at home. My children used to love using this. And if you just fill a little bit of washing up liquid in a bowl, you can see as you mix it, the bubbles become higher
Higher
and
and higher.
higher
Yeah.
and higher. As long as it's not a too wide bowl, as long as it's quite narrow, they will grow. And so it helps children to understand cause and effect. We were talking about that earlier at all. So the faster they mix, the bigger the bubbles, the slower they mix, the bubbles come down. And as well
Amazing.
as this, what we're doing is we're helping to support laterality. So we're crossing over the midline and children are connecting both hemispheres of the brain as well. So that's really good to help with creative development and brain, early childhood brain development. This is another activity that I recommend to the parents. I don't know if you recalled making one of these as a child at all. What are they called in India?
I'm forgetting the name, but we used to play when we were small. I'm just forgetting the name. Maybe I don't know.
I think somebody said it was chip chap or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, chip chop, chip chop, chip chop. Yes,
Chip
yes,
chop,
yes,
that's
yes,
right. Yes.
yes. Okay, okay, okay.
So again, this is really good for children for understanding colours, for numbers, for counting, and again, those fine motor skills. We're looking at bilateral movements. So I've just made this one myself, so you can make one up yourself for your as parents or educators. So I'm
Yes,
going
yes.
to pick red, R, E, D, and then I'm going to pick number 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'm going to choose number 4. And what do I have to do? I have to wriggle like a worm on the floor. So
Ah,
behind
uh,
each number,
yes. So there is another activity beneath that number.
lots of activities. So it could be, can you move like a crab? Can you do 10 star jumps? Can you bounce and box like a kangaroo? Can you roll like a pencil? Can you make 10 snow angels on the floor? So educators and parents can make up their own ones. There could even be a trick one in there, something, that's quite funny. And then whoever picks the number, so it might be that the mother or father or grandmother has to do it, and then the child has to do it. So it would really help the whole family ethos if everybody's playing games and having fun together. It will really help to boost and to develop those relationships.
Yes. And maybe uh, like a few days back, we had tried something that, we asked the children to get the utensils from the house and then two spoons and let them just bang it, create some music out of it. And, they went
Absolutely.
crazy about it. And maybe you can play some music and with the rhythm which they can understand, and they can practice along. So that was one thing. And we're also trying to, you can make a maraca. That
Yes.
maracas, you can actually make it with a bottle at home, and you can
Mm.
practice that rhythm. So we are going to do that activity.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're planning to do it for our schools very soon, to teach them, so that they're very, I will say, you don't need to buy too many things, go outside. These are things that you can do at home. And really,
Sorry.
another thing that I yeah, another thing, Helen, which I want to ask you, because you've been doing this for 20 years with small children. According to you, how much, what is the total duration of physical movement that is required,
Uh,
for a child between is it half an hour, 1 hour, 2 hours? What is the ideal time or duration of movement that a child should be exposed to every day? Because we don't know, is there a science behind it, or maybe 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, or half an hour? What according to you is the ideal to be for a for a nice day for a child, wherein he or she sleeps well, eats well, and is able to exhaust or unleash their energy. So what is the ideal duration of a physical activity according to you?
well, part of the training that I deliver is
The reason why I'm asking you this question is that, see, we run a preschool where the duration of our preschool is very small. We're not a full day school. It's for 3 hours, where not more, but we can actually engage children for an half an hour or 30 minutes of play, and occasionally for a longer duration. But due to the current working environment where the husband and wife both are working, there are a lot of children where the children are not exposed to evening play. you know they don't have somebody to accompany. So We basically want to guide them that this is essential for a child development, maybe whatever duration, and the importance of physical movement.
Okay.
So what according to you is the ideal time? Is it half an hour, 1 hour, 2 hours? What is it?
Well, it's not according to me, it's according to the World Health Organization. So I cover this on my training. I was delivering some training actually in India yesterday, working with some students there. And they were quite surprised when I revealed what the recommended amount of physical activity is. So for a child who has just started walking, up until the age of 5, the World Health Organization recommends that a child has a minimum of 180 minutes of physical activity a day.
180 minutes of physical activity a day,
3
viewers. So
hours of
that's
physical
3 hours of movement, apart from the other things that he does.
activity.
I'm sure that a lot of, they generally at that age, they are not able to sit together at one place. They keep moving around. But are you talking about active physical activity here?
So what do the World Health Organization say is physical activity? Physical activity is whole body energy expenditure. So it could be walking, it could be standing up or sitting down. It can be
Right.
putting on your coats or moving from one area to another area. It can be dancing, it can be running, it can be climbing, it can be cycling, it can be all of those things. But as well as the 180 minutes, the World Health Organization say on top of that, children need to have within that 180 minutes, 60 minutes of what's called MVPA, which is moderate to vigorous physical activity. So this is where we're seeing the child in this state of
That energy needs to get exhausted, that
yes.
energy that they
So there
have.
needs to be, which of course, if we're in this time of pandemic and children don't have an outside area to play and they can't go outside, this is going to be really difficult for parents to have to be able
Right.
to get 3 hours of physical activity. But I know from my own experience with having 3 children, there wasn't really any time when my children were younger that we sat down. Every time it was just because they were just constantly moving. So I had to adapt my house to accommodate their needs. If it meant that I put a big plastic sheet down and brought in lots of mud and lots of cups and lots of water, and then we made a mud kitchen in the lounge, then that's what I did. If it meant that I turned the house around and put big sheets over it and made a big den, and we built dens and we made up stories, then that's what we do. So your house will have to become the learning environment. It will have to become the environment that's going to
And I personally feel that parents who have small children at this age, it's a pandemic now. I'm not sure that how many people are going to come to your place anymore, because it's COVID and partying is not allowed, and maybe it's people will restrict themselves from it. So there are so many living spaces that people utilize in decorating, putting sofa and putting so many decorative items. Rather, I would suggest, being a parent of young children, that this is a time when you should remove all of them and give them their space
Mm,
inside the house. If they're not able to go out, give them that space, create that space in the house by removing all the unwanted material. Put them in the balcony, put them outside the house, wherever
mm,
you find space, but give children the space to move freely in the house. If you are
definitely,
living in small apartments, like
definitely.
I've been to UK, so I know that the houses in Manchester and in other places are very different from the small apartments in London. So,
Mhm,
basically in London, because of the high cost, the apartments are very small. There's no space to move out. They're all,
mhm,
very, very small spaces. Similarly, most of the people living here in India in metro cities have very little spaces inside the house. They're very living in small apartments. So they need to create that space for that movement, which Helen just told, that 3 hour of some kind of physical activity. Even WHO recommends for small
mm.
children, and due to the COVID, that's not very safe for them to go out, interact with other children too much. So, but then yes, that's really nice. So tell us about the book that you wrote, Helen,
Oh
about
yes.
yes, you
Sorry, I thought, can I just add one more activity? So
Yes,
this was
please go ahead. We were, yeah, as many as you want. We are there.
oh, thank
That's,
you. So this was
yeah,
something that I did every Friday in my house. So all through my children's childhood, Friday became Disco Friday. So my husband and I had finished work, and we'd pick up the children from school or wherever they were, and all the lights would turn off. We would have torches and a disco ball, and we would have probably an hour and a half to 2 hours of playing all of our favorite music, my favorite music, my husband's favorite music, my children's favorite music, and we would all dance together.
yeah.
And it would be, they would
That's
be on the
really nice. I'm sure
train.
that that's fun. That's really fun. That's one of the things that every parent must do during this time. See,
Yeah,
two things I personally recommend, because you can't go out, children can't, the schools are closed, and you're not playing anymore with your friends in the neighborhood. I think dancing at home on your favorite music and yoga, these
yeah.
are two best things that children can also do at their home. Yeah, please carry on.
Definitely, yes. So dancing and yoga, and we would always have sort of rough and tumble play as well. So I would do lots of things where I'd lay on my back and then rest my children on my knees and lift them up, and we'd do lots of kind of gymnastics things and learning about body management and body weight. And it was
Yes,
always fun. It was always enjoyable, and we would take it in turns to be leaders. So I would
right.
create a little routine, and then they would copy me, and then my middle son might say, watch me do this, mum, watch me do this. And then we'd watch him and I'd say, okay, we're all going to try it. Let's all try this. And it might be
Yes,
something completely bizarre, but we would all do it. And so that would be something that would wonderful. Something else that's really important for children to do as well is during this time is to have children involved in what's happening in the home. So if it's
yes,
sorting out the washing, let them sort out the colours with you. Let them help
absolutely.
put
Yes,
things in the washing machine. Get children involved in all of these activities because they're part of the family and we need to share that. And so much learning happens in cooking, in sorting out colours, in setting the table. We've got measurements, sizes, predictions. So much learning to happen. Writing shopping lists. Get children
absolutely.
involved.
Parents can also see there are some activities like maybe giving water to pets, giving water to plants, maybe
Absolutely.
you know, folding your bed sheets and
Mm,
making, trying to help make the bed. So there are so many
definitely.
small daily routine chores that
Mm,
parents can engage their children with, and this is the time. There
yeah.
cannot be a best time to teach children these life skills, I say, because you have time. People are working from home, people are not going out as much as they were going earlier. They are restricting their movement, they're not partying too much outside. So this is a time to actually teach them those life skills, and that also, they also involve a lot of physical activities, I say.
They do. They all involve physical
Yes,
activity. Absolutely.
everything, yeah.
You'll easily reach your 3 hours. Easily. Definitely.
Yes.
Yes. So here's my book.
Wow.
Is lots of different chapters, talks about school readiness, talks about brain development, lots of different ideas, lots of songs, lots of, every chapter has a whole page of activities. And this is available on my website. There's a link directly to order the book. But it's a fabulous book for both parents and educators for practical ideas to help support learning.
Wonderful. I think great. We had a fabulous time with you. So, anything else that you want to tell us about your good work or about physical development, or so your team? How many people do you have? And it's been, I think you've written that you have engaged with 1,500 children in a week, which is a huge number. So
Yes,
that means, to every length and breadth of your city, you are going and doing these activities with.
yes.
So,
That was
what is the
very
duration? What is the duration of these activities that you do with your children, usually in schools?
Yep. So the music and movement activities are normally an hour long. So they would start off with a 5 minutes of movement activity, so a whole body energy expenditure activity. Then there would be a topic. Then there would be equipment. It could be parachutes, ribbons, feathers, balls, where we're just helping children to develop their fundamental movement skills. And then after that, it would be instrument, music, percussion time, where we'd have exposure to a wide variety of instruments. And then there would be a quiet, relax and stretch time. So that's kind of the format of the whole music and movement program. But what's more fabulous now, I used to reach 1,500 children a week, but now I reach thousands upon thousands every week, because if I'm training teachers and educators, and teachers are working with, I don't know, 50 children or 100 children, and I'm reaching all across the globe rather than just within my borough. So this message of being active and supporting children through a canopy movement experience is so important. And we know that children aren't getting the physical activity levels that they need to support with their brain development. A study back in 2018 in the UK before COVID showed that 91% of 2 to 4 year olds weren't reaching the recommended levels of physical activity. So something needs to happen. We're living in a pandemic, but there's also a crisis with children's inactivity levels. So we need to recognise that and find many ways to help support that.
Wonderful. So great, Helen. So, friends, we had some great views on music and movement in early childhood education from Helen. I hope this webinar will be beneficial for a lot of us in the, knowing the importance of physical development. My sincere thanks to Helen, to take this invitation and come live with us today and share her views on the good work that she is doing with all of our viewers on Facebook. Thank you so much, and I hope you all have a great day. Thank you, Helen, and bye
Thank
bye.
you.
Stay safe until we meet again. Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
stay safe, everybody.
Yeah, thank you.